There is a unique silence that belongs only to the deep hours of the night in a city that never sleeps. It's not a true silence, but a hollow echo, a breath held between the last train's departure and the first hint of dawn. In this cathedral of concrete and steel, deep beneath the sleeping streets of New York, another sound began to bloom. It was the lonely, intricate melody of an acoustic guitar, each note a spark of warmth against the cold. Tiled walls of the empty subway station, the musician, a young man named Liam, played for an audience of flickering fluorescent lights, peeling advertisements, and the ghosts of the day's hurried commuters. He played not for money, for there was no one to give it, but for a more fundamental reason. He played because he had to. But on this particular night, he was not entirely alone. In the deepest shadows of the platform, a single figure stood, motionless, a silent observer wrapped in layers of worn clothing. A stranger with oddly familiar eyes, listening to a private concert that was meant for no one. Liam, lost in his music, had no idea that his most honest performance was about to be witnessed by a legend in disguise, and that this chance encounter would forever alter the melody of his life. Liam had moved to the city 3 years ago from a small town in Ohio. His heart full of songs and his head full of dreams, spun from the vinyl records his father had left him. Imagined open mic nights leading to record deals, his lyrics connecting with thousands. The reality, however, was a cramped apartment in Brooklyn, a soul-crushing day job stocking shelves at a sterile supermarket, and a collection of polite but firm rejection emails from every independent record label he could find. The city, which had once promised a symphony of opportunity, now felt like a wall of noise that drowned out his own quiet music. He had tried busking in the crowded plazas, playing upbeat, recognizable covers that might earn him a few dollars, but it felt like a betrayal. He was playing their songs, not his. He was performing a caricature of a musician, his soul tucked safely away inside his worn-out guitar case. The coins that clattered into his case felt cold, transactional. They were payment for a service, not a connection to his art. So he had found a new stage, the Times Square subway station, after midnight. After the river of tourists had slowed to a trickle, and the last train had rattled its way into the tunnel, the station transformed. The acoustics were hauntingly beautiful. Every note he played hung in the air, magnified and pure. Here, in this empty, echoing hall, he wasn't performing for rent money. He was reclaiming his soul, played the songs he wrote in the quiet of his room, the intricate, melancholic instrumentals that told stories of his hopes and heartbreaks without a single word. This was his sanctuary, and he was playing for the only audience that truly understood himself. Liam had moved to the city 3 years ago from a small town in Ohio. His heart full of songs and his head full of dreams spun from the vinyl records his father had left him. He imagined open mic nights leading to record deals, his lyrics connecting with thousands. The reality, however, was a cramped apartment in Brooklyn, a soul-crushing day job stocking shelves at a sterile supermarket, and a collection of polite but firm rejection emails from every independent record label he could find. The city, which had once promised a symphony of opportunity, now felt like a wall of noise that drowned out his own quiet music. He had tried busking in the crowded plazas, playing upbeat, recognizable covers that might earn him a few dollars. But it felt like a betrayal. He was playing their songs, not his. He was performing a caricature of a musician, his soul tucked safely away inside his worn-out guitar case. The coins that clattered into his case felt cold, transactional. They were payment for a service, not a connection to his art. So he had found a new stage, the Times Square subway station after midnight. After the river of tourists had slowed to a trickle, and the last train had rattled its way into the tunnel, the station transformed. The acoustics were hauntingly beautiful. Every note he played hung in the air, magnified and pure. Here, in this empty, echoing hall, he wasn't performing for rent money. He was reclaiming his soul. He played the songs he wrote in the quiet of his room, the intricate, melancholic instrumentals that told stories of his hopes and heartbreaks without a single word. This was his sanctuary, and he was playing for the only audience that truly understood himself. The final note of his song rang out, its echo chasing itself down the long, empty tunnel until it faded into complete silence. For a long moment, nothing happened. Liam sat, catching his breath, letting the feeling of the music slowly recede. From his fingertips, he began to carefully place his guitar back into its velvet-lined case. It was time to go home. As he latched the case, he heard the soft, scuffling sound of shoes on concrete. The stranger was walking towards him. Liam's body tensed slightly, a conditioned response from years of city living. He kept his eyes on the man, who walked slowly, with a slight, almost imperceptible swagger. He stopped a few feet away, his face still mostly hidden in shadow. Liam braced himself for a request for money, or perhaps a drunken, rambling conversation, but the stranger didn't ask for anything. He just stood there for a moment, and then he spoke. His voice was a low, gravelly whisper, yet it carried the weight of 1,000 stories. That last chord progression, the stranger said, his voice a quiet rumble, resolved it on a dim inner ninth. A beautiful, unexpected choice. Most people would have just settled for a simple minor to end it. Liam was stunned into silence. It wasn't just a compliment. It was a technical observation. An observation only another musician would make. Look closer at the man, trying to see past the shadows and the layers of clothing. Yeah. Thank you, Liam stammered, his mind racing. Not many people. Well, there aren't many people here to notice. The stranger chuckled, a dry, breathy sound. That song. It wasn't just chords. It had a narrative. I could hear it. A story about this city. About being close enough to touch the sky, but feeling like you're underground. He gestured vaguely at the tiled walls around them. You're not playing for them, are you? The daytime crowd. No, Liam admitted. Not really. Good, the stranger said, nodding slowly. Slowly. Never lose that. The minute you start playing for them, the music starts lying, and your music. It's painfully honest. Don't ever let them beat that out of you. The stranger reached into the pocket of his worn coat. Liam instinctively flinched, but he didn't pull out money or anything threatening. He pulled out a small, uniquely shaped guitar pick. It was dark tortoiseshell, but thicker than a standard pick, with a small silver skull emblem embedded in it. Here, the stranger said, holding it out, musician's token of respect for another musician. As Liam reached out to take it, his fingers brushed against the stranger's. The man looked up slightly, and the station's harsh fluorescent light caught his face at just the right angle. Liam saw it all in a flash. The high cheekbones, the dark, soulful eyes, the familiar goatee, the silver rings on his fingers. His brain struggled to connect the impossible image with the man standing before him. It was Johnny Depp. Liam's breath caught in his throat. Words failed him. Stood there, completely frozen, the guitar pick feeling like a burning coal in his palm. Johnny Depp saw the recognition dawn on Liam's face. Slow, knowing smile spread across his lips. He raised a single finger to his own lips in a universal she gesture. Keep the music real, kid, he whispered. And then, without another word, he turned and walked back into the shadows of the subway tunnel, disappearing as mysteriously as he had arrived, leaving Liam alone on the platform, his heart pounding a rhythm more frantic than any song he had ever composed. For an hour, Liam just sat there, staring at the guitar pick. It felt like a dream. When he finally made it back to his apartment, the first thing he did was examine the pick under the light. The silver skull was intricately detailed. It felt like a secret handshake, a key to a world he didn't know existed. Guitar pick with silver skull emblem. Search results were sparse, but one link stood out. A forum for obscure music gear. The user had posted a picture of the same pick, asking if anyone recognized it. The answer came in a reply deep in the thread. That's a custom pick from Black Rose Records, a tiny, super exclusive indie label. Rumor is, it's secretly funded by Johnny Depp to sign artists he discovers personally. They don't accept demos, you have to be invited. Liam's world tilted on its axis. This wasn't just a token of respect, it was an invitation, a test. Spent the next 3 days in a feverish state of creation and doubt. He recorded his song, the one he played in the subway, in his cheap laptop microphone. The sound raw and imperfect, but honest. He wrote an email to the generic address on the label's one-page website, He didn't know what to say. He simply wrote, "A man in a subway station gave me this pic after hearing me play. He told me to keep the music real. This is the song he heard." He attached the MP3 file and with a trembling hand, hit send, expecting nothing. A week went by, then two. The silence was deafening. The hope that had ignited in him began to flicker, and the voice of the imposter returned. It was just a weird encounter. But on a Tuesday afternoon, an email appeared in his inbox. Subject line was just one word: real. The email was from the head of the label. It said, "We get thousands of emails. We ignore them all. We don't ignore an invitation from our founder. He said you had a story in your music." He was right. Let's talk. The reward wasn't $1 million contract or instant fame. It was something far more valuable. It was a small recording budget, a team of producers who understood his sound, and complete artistic freedom. He was signed to a label that didn't want him to be the next pop star. They wanted him to be Liam. His first EP recorded with them didn't top the charts, but it was reviewed in music magazines, praised for its raw honesty and intricate musicianship. It found its audience, a small, dedicated audience who, like the stranger in the subway, heard the story in his music. Liam still plays in the subway sometimes, late at night. Not because he has to for money, but because he needs to. To remember the feeling of playing for an audience of one in that cathedral of echoes. To stay connected to the honesty that was discovered in the dark when he thought no one was listening. True. Artistry isn't about the size of the crowd that applauds you, but the depth of the connection you make with the one person who truly listens. What is a passion you pursue, even when no one is watching? Let us know your story in the comments below, if you believe in the magic of unexpected encounters. Make sure you subscribe to Truth Unveiled and hit the bell so you never miss another hidden story.